Obviously not, because I can't hear any response. Console? So I'd like to call upon Mr. Manjeet Singh, CEO, Multi-Screen Media and Chairman, FICCI Broadcast Committee, to introduce the next person who will take the keynote further, who is amongst the most powerful women in the media and entertainment industry in the global sense. Sir, may I have you on stage? Sir, this way, the stairs this way. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Manjeet Singh, CEO, Multi-Screen Media. Sir, do you need this? You want to introduce Anne Sweeney? Yeah.
Morning all. I would like to introduce Anne Sweeney, co-chair, Disney Media Networks and President, Disney ABC Television Group, who will be speaking to us on creativity and the importance of localization in creativity. And if you could join us on stage.
May I request everybody to settle down so we can start with the next keynote. We have speakers on dais. I request the media also to allow for the proceedings to go on further. Should I call Anne on stage or Manjeet Singh? So we're ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, we have amongst us one of the most celebrated women in the global media and entertainment industry.
Thank you very much for that kind introduction, and good afternoon. I want to thank FICCI for inviting me to speak today. It's a wonderful opportunity to participate in this conversation about the media and entertainment industry. And thank you, Dr. Singh, for your hospitality. I also want to thank Disney's Ronnie Screwvala and Andy Bird, Chairman of Walt Disney International, for their leadership and their vision. Andy spoke this morning about creating a better world powered by creativity and imagination, shaped by the potential of what can be. I was asked to speak about the creative process in television, and Andy's presentation reminded me of how creativity has powered the incredible growth and success of Disney Channel. From a relatively small premium channel in the United States, it has blossomed into a huge global brand ambassador for the Walt Disney Company. We will celebrate the 30th anniversary of the launch of Disney Channel just next month. On April 18th, 1983, Disney Channel was born. And the very first show was, of course, Good Morning, Mickey. Always a safe bet to begin with the mouse that launched the company. During its first year, Disney Channel was available to only 532,000 US subscribers. That's the number of people carried on Mumbai local trains in 1 hour. The channel at first served mainly as a place to air old films and shows from the Disney library. But this didn't fulfill the legacy that Disney had established as an innovator that always moved forward, always opened new doors. And it didn't tap into the potential of what it could be. And that potential was huge. Today, there are 108 Disney channels in 34 languages, reaching more than 426 million homes in 166 different markets. And when you add the expanded reach of our partners around the world, Disney and Marvel-branded kids' television content is now available in almost 1 billion homes. As my boss, Bob Iger, said at last week's shareholder meeting, Disney Channel has become the touchstone for our brand in homes around the world, introducing Disney to new markets. Here in India, that introduction was 9 years ago, but for others it was much more recent. The first free-to-air Disney Channel launched in Russia just a year ago, and now reaches 1 in 3 children every single day, making it the #1 free-to-air channel among kids 6 to 12. In the United States, Disney Channel is #1 with kids 2 to 11 and tweens. So how did creativity grow Disney Channel from a small national network to a huge global success? And more importantly, how do we think we can create such success here in India? The answer to both questions is by focusing on the audience, by creating compelling storytelling, by fulfilling our brand promise, and by taking chances and learning a lot along the way. When I arrived at Disney in 1996, Disney Channel was available in just over 12 million homes in the United States, and our international footprint was 1 small channel in Taiwan. In America, Disney Channel was a premium channel in the early stages of migrating to basic. More than half of the 12 million subscribers had the premium service. Now, when you're a premium service, your main goal is to retain your viewers. And it's a very different story when you want to be part of a basic package. You're more focused on growing subscribers and becoming an indispensable part of their lives. That was our goal, to bring Disney Channel to every home, the key that would open the door to all things Disney for tens of millions and tap into our growth potential. But to fully reach that potential, we had to change a few things. Disney Channel at that time featured a lot of programming that targeted mothers and fathers, the bill payers in the house, but not specifically the kids. At the same time, we had some kids shows that they soon grew out of. One 8-year-old boy made that painfully clear when he said to me, "I used to watch Disney Channel, but that's when I was a kid." People were confused about our brand. Were we the place to see Mousercise or Mark Twain and Me? The split personality was making Disney Channel not relevant. We had to figure out who we were and who we wanted to be. We had to ask, what should the Disney Channel brand stand for in the hearts and the minds of our audience? And the answer, at least to me at the time, was obvious. We had to mirror what the Disney brand stood for around the globe: quality, creativity, and great storytelling for the entire family. With this in mind, we decided to focus Disney Channel as the home for kid-driven, family-inclusive, original programming. We also started focusing on strategic research to determine who we were, how we were perceived, and who our audience was, and most important, what they wanted. We began having lots of conversations with our audience, but it wasn't about the quantity of the conversations, it was really about the quality. And it started with asking the right questions. If you want to create compelling programming for your audience, you don't start by asking about their favorite television shows. We didn't need to know what they thought about our schedule. We needed to know about their lives. What did they do when they got home from school or work? Who did they spend time with? What were their aspirations? We asked them so many questions completely unrelated or seemingly unrelated to television. And then we built stories and TV shows and our entire business around what we learned from them and what was important to them. This was critical in evolving Disney Channel's strategic direction into that kid-driven, family-inclusive brand. Today, we're in the field every single day talking to kids, mothers, and families. Engaging with the audience is one of my favorite parts of our business. I've enjoyed a wonderful time in India this past weekend, but I have to admit, one of the activities I'm most looking forward to is a visit tomorrow to a local school and a chance to talk to kids and their parents. By asking our audience, whether in the US, here in India, or across the globe, the right questions about who they are, what they do, and what they dream about, we're able to create something entirely new with our programming. Think Best of Luck Nikki, Phineas and Ferb, and Hannah Montana, programs that developed out of a better understanding of our audience. But understanding our brand and our audience haven't been the only factors in Disney Channel's growth. The casting of Hannah Montana taught us that to create something entirely new and reap big rewards and even bigger growth, sometimes you have to make the unexpected choice. In this business, if you're not willing to fail by taking big swings, then you'll never hit it out of the field. You'll be dismissed. When we were casting Hannah Montana, it came down to two girls. One was a funny, experienced actress who had been in a sitcom, but she couldn't sing at all. The other girl could sing, but she was a little young, had minimal acting experience, and was actually afraid of performing in front of people. Many people wanted to cast the experienced sitcom actress, but Gary Marsh, now president and chief creative officer of the Disney Channels worldwide, saw something in Miley Cyrus, the shy, inexperienced girl. He saw a star. He saw the potential to launch a franchise, so he forsook the safe route for the riskier one, and ultimately the greater reward. Can you imagine if we had cast an actress to play Hannah Montana who couldn't sing? We never would have had a successful concert, a 3D movie, and 4 seasons of a hit music-driven series. Hannah Montana became the first sitcom in the world to incorporate concert footage and the first kids sitcom to become a true pop culture phenomenon. In 2008, the show had a global audience of 200 million viewers, almost the population of Indonesia. It helped drive our music business and gave us our second feature film based on a Disney Channel series. To continue driving our business globally, we have to continue focusing on creativity and the Disney promise while embracing the unique opportunities and challenges that each market offers. Here in India, that means we need to understand what's important to an Indian audience. How is an Indian audience different from the other 165 markets where we have channels? And how, most important, are they also the same? Essentially, families in India want the same things for their kids as millions of families around the world. There are core values that are universal. These core values align perfectly with Disney's themes. Express yourself. Believe in yourself. Be true to yourself. Follow your dreams and celebrate your family. In 2010, we learned that our shows could be even more successful if they contained these universal aspirations, but also better reflected local culture and expectations. So we made a commitment to becoming truly local, finding and using local production, local content, and local talent. And in 2011, Disney Channel India began producing local adaptations of US series to better appeal to Indian kids and families. We came up with Best of Luck Nikki, a reimagined version of our hit show, Good Luck Charlie, and The Sweet Life of Karan and Kabir, a version of The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. Take a look at an example. Our approach with these shows,
Dad, what are you doing? PJ, we gotta get to the hospital. I'm just gonna see if I can hotwire one of these things. Dad!
You trying to steal our bikes?
Not steal. Hotwire.
अरे कोई है? अरे कोई है इस टेम्पो का मालिक?
पापा, आप ये क्या कर रहे हो?
अरे रोहन, हमें हॉस्पिटल पहुंचना है। मैं देख रहा हूँ कि मैं इसे बगैर चाबी के स्टार्ट कर सकता हूँ कि नहीं।
पापा, पापा!
ओए साले मुर्गी चोर! हमारी गाड़ी चुराने की कोशिश कर रहा है
गड्डी नहीं चुरा रहे थे वो क्या है ना बिना चाबी के स्टार्ट कर रहे थे
Surprise! That dog, Francis. Come on in.
What are you guys doing here?
We have a birthday present for our goddaughter.
Oh, baby biker vest.
Let's try it on.
Did you ask them to be the godparents?
Of course not.
Well, then you have to tell them that they are not the godparents.
No, thank you.
Fine, I'll do it. Excuse me. There's something I have to tell you. Oh. Welcome to the family.
Oh.
हाँ अरे बलवान महाबलवान अंदर आ जाओ
आप दोनों यहाँ कैसे?
अरे हम तो अपनी प्यारी सी बच्ची के लिए उपहार लेकर आए थे
ये लोग यहाँ क्या कर रहे हैं?
मुझे क्या पता?
तो फिर इन्हें जाके कह दो ये हमारी घर की पार्टी है।
नहीं मनी मैं ये बात कैसे बोल सकता हूँ?
ठीक है मैं जाके कहती हूँ। किसान जी मुझे आपसे कुछ कहना है। मेरा बच्चा इतना प्यारा है। आप दोनों इस घर को अपना ही घर समझिए। अच्छा आइए 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 केक खाइए केक खाइए।
Our approach with these shows, which have both been hugely successful in the kids genre, has been to make them deeply rooted in local culture. This means creating relatable situations where children watching might think, well, that could have been me. Showing the families celebrating culturally relevant events, such as Diwali or Holi, and understanding that families here are interested in kid-centered, wholesome family entertainment. Since 2010, Disney Channel has nearly doubled its ratings because the shows better reflect the local audience and because they continue to fulfill our brand promise of telling quality stories that are kid-centered and family inclusive. Telling quality stories is at the heart of what we do best as a company. And Walt Disney once said, it all began with a mouse. But I believe what he meant was that it always begins with a great story. It just so happens in our case that a mouse starred in all of those great stories. And that mouse started Disney on the path of becoming one of the most valuable content creation engines in the world. I've talked a lot about Disney Channel, but we have great storytelling throughout the Disney ABC television group, a group that includes ABC, ABC Family, which targets the 18 to 34-year-olds, we also call them millennials, ABC Studios, producers of high-quality content, ABC News, Radio Disney, and Hyperion Publishing. What's exciting about storytelling today is that technological advancements have empowered us to use new innovations to push storytelling in new directions. As I said earlier, Disney as a company is always looking forward, focused on the future, willing to work with technology leaders and creators to give audiences what they want and what they may not know they want yet. Think about Snow White, Disney's first animated princess. In 1937, everyone in America said that a full-length animated feature would never work, that no one would want to watch it. But what Walt Disney understood was that animation freed him to do things you just couldn't do with live actors. He took a risk, and he went on to create a film that's considered one of the greatest achievements in cinema and a huge financial success. And that commitment to leveraging innovation to express creativity is the hallmark of our success and can be seen in Disney's latest princess, Sophia. Sophia the First will launch here this June with a movie, followed by a series. The series launched last month in the US and is already the #1 show with kids 2 to 5 years old. And much like the animation of Snow White 76 years ago, technology today frees us to do things we never dreamed about doing just a few years ago, like create feature film quality content on a television budget and schedule. We regularly use techniques and technology that weren't possible when we were producing our hit show Lost a few years ago, including digital characters, face replacement, and other CGI elements. Today, you see a lot of shows that reflect how fast technology is advancing, such as Once Upon a Time, which relies on digital technology to create new worlds, and which you can also see on Star India. Here's a clip from Once Upon a Time that demonstrates this digital technology and how it brings a story to life.
This is truly a night for celebration. Truly a night for celebration. Do you realize what an inspiration you are to everyone?
All I did was get married.
All you did was show that anyone can change her life. I'm proud of you.
Beautiful. That video is an example of what makes TV so exciting. That fantastic intersection of incredibly compelling storytelling with state-of-the-art technology. Beyond the spectacle and the technology, however, it's the simplicity of a story well told that connects in the most basic way with the largest audiences across the world, from the US to Russia to India. The strength of our storytelling in India is in the commitment to local production and telling universal stories that connect with Indian audiences. Outside of the US, India is one of the largest markets Disney has invested in for local production. This investment includes finding and nurturing fresh talent in the live-action space and working with the best writers, producers, musicians, and actors to tell our compelling stories for families across India. So far, the Disney Channel in India has produced numerous long-form shows, with multiple seasons, as well as a Disney Channel original movie. The channel has 5 shows in production currently, and we've commissioned pilots for 4 more. To add to these, Disney Channel is expanding its offerings of quintessential Indian stories through acquisitions of animated content. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, as Andy did, Disney's most fortunate acquisition, UTV, which brought us the immensely talented Rani Screwvala. Rani has been an incredible leader, guiding our programming, providing insight about the audience, and ensuring Disney's content reflects India's great storytelling heritage. And I'm grateful that Rani is leading us through the huge changes now beginning to disrupt the Indian television industry. Pretty soon, just creating great stories here won't be enough. Audiences everywhere increasingly want to personalize their media experience and use emerging technologies to watch their shows where they want, when they want, and how they want. And Disney has worked very hard to stay ahead of technology disruptions and find innovative ways to remove barriers and deliver storytelling to consumers on whatever platform they choose. iTunes launched here just this past December, and I have an interesting story that highlights how we continue to adapt. Apple's founder, Steve Jobs, approached us in 2005 about an opportunity to make the first critical move to put content and digital technology together. Many urged caution. They were afraid of risking the status quo to launch into an uncertain future. Others saw this uncertainty as a huge opportunity, realizing there was no way to win in the 21st century using a 20th century business model. When Steve Jobs walked in the room and played Lost on an iPod, we saw it as an opportunity to change everything. It was a way to innovate with technology leaders to create common ground where we could all succeed by giving consumers what they want. Within 6 months, We were the first media company not only selling content on iTunes, but also streaming it online with ads at abc.com in the US with our full episode player. To maintain momentum, we've spent the last few years paying close attention to our viewers. We've watched how they move around the world and how they use technology as part of their lives, and believe me, it's not always easy to keep pace. The rate of change is occurring at warp speed, especially here in India. But the great news is that the television industry here is taking steps now to meet the audience where it's going. The digital conversion and nascent mobile market in India will change everything for the consumer and provide tremendous opportunities for all of us to engage those billion consumers, if we make a commitment to understanding our audience, if we recognize that it all begins and ends with great stories, if we develop strong, trusted brands and deliver on their promise, and if we jump forward into the future with both feet, because the worst thing we can do is maintain the status quo. So success to us and to everyone in this room will require breaking old models of how things were done in the past. But it's good to be disruptive. Otherwise, we're only going to validate complacency, and that's not who any of us want to be. So let's be disruptive, remove the obstacles, and empower our audience. Walt Disney once said, "If you can dream it, you can do it." And all of us in this room can dream it. We can see the enormous potential. Let's commit to forsaking the safe to reach that potential. Let's strive to take big risks to reap big rewards. And let's be willing to fail once in a while to create what's next and what may be. And as they say at Bindas, let's not settle to be like the rest, but instead prepare to rest less for success. Thank you.
Great, and now I'm quite sure that I will fail at this task, and since that's a good thing to do, we'll keep it simple. I think we all recognize the need to localize for audiences worldwide, and but I want to take you back to your topic, which sort of was the importance of localization in creativity. And I guess the question I had is, when you look at local adaptations of US serials, which the Disney Channel has done quite a few of, isn't that in some ways almost a stagnation of creativity, because you're recreating what someone else has done rather than developing original content? And what do you believe the balance should be between really creating original content versus recreating to localize content that was developed elsewhere in the world?
Oh, very fair question. I think the beauty of the formats, and the one that I showed of the reformatting of Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, is actually a great example of universal themes that exist inside families. So we saw the reformatting and the local production as an opportunity to express those themes. It was also a piece of intellectual property that we owned, so we were able to get it up and going relatively quickly. But I believe there has to be a mix. There has to be a balance. There has to be true original programming. There have to be true stories that come out of India and become sitcoms and movies and dramas on Disney Channel.
Great, because we sort of see that trend, at least in the general entertainment section, where most of our programming is now entirely local and developed locally, though there is still some adaptation of big formats.
Well, absolutely. In fact, the Walt Disney Company, when you look at our great successes, Cinderella, a lot of those properties were created in Europe and brought to the United States. So we've been very comfortable adapting them and making them part of the culture of Disney, because the themes really, as I said, corresponded to what Disney stands for.
Yeah. Well, let me then take the exact opposite side of the same question, which would be, when you look at gaming, and you look at, even with the modders modifying games in small ways, like putting in local maps and translating games, the basic game has remained unchanged. So do you think we're seeing a generation of young people that are truly global citizens that view themselves as having a global identity and will not be looking at localization? And how will that change the media business if this generation comes up with a much more global perspective?
You know, my sense of it really comes from my own children who have a very strong local identity, even though they were born